Hello and welcome to Big Weekend here on the Football 365 show, brought to you by Paddy Power. I'm your host Mark Smith. I'm here as ever with Sarah Winterburn. Lots to talk about as ever this weekend. Biggest game of the weekend without a doubt is Chelsea against Spurs. We're going to talk about Arsenal's attacking. Can we even call it attacking? I don't know anymore. And we'll talk about Liverpool's defence for the first time this season. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like and subscribe and press the notification bell. This is Big Weekend, brought to you by Paddy Power. Right, Sarah, biggest game of the weekend, without a doubt, has got to be Chelsea versus Spurs. Talk me through it.
Talk you through it. Two teams at the top of the table, both coming off really good results last weekend. Spurs in particular, obviously, who did a beautiful job on Man City, as Twitter keeps reminding me all week after I sort of was unkind about them last week.
How dare you?
How dare I? There's obviously a massive needle in this fixture. Always has been. That Chelsea-Spurs rivalry is probably even more intense than the Arsenal-Spurs rivalry, or has been over the last few years.
Yep.
What do I expect? Mourinho, isn't it? I mean, he's going to set traps for Chelsea. He's going to sit so far back. He's going to... You know, the Spurs side is great. It knows when to attack. It knows when not to attack. He's found the exact right set of players for what Jose Mourinho wants to do. As I think we put it this morning, they're just good enough to do what he wants to do and not good enough to tell him to F off, basically. They're in that very sweet spot for Jose that you know, this is their best chance of winning the title, isn't it? They've got Jose Mourinho, first proper season Jose Mourinho. They're all bought in. There's a slightly weird feeling about this title race anyway. But Chelsea, they're coming good, aren't they? They haven't played anyone.
Chelsea have been great.
I've said this before. They've not played anyone great. The teams that they've beaten are sort of mid to lower table. They've not looked brilliant against the better sides. So this is going to be a tactical battle, and you know, all logic tells you that Mourinho will beat Lampard in a tactical battle if it comes down to that. So I'd fancy Spurs to go to beat Chelsea actually on Sunday, which will put the cat among the pigeons.
I've got the exact same result there. I've got Spurs to win away there. That's part of my four-way accumulator with Paddy Power. As good as Chelsea have been, and they found this brilliant balance now. Since that United game, I think, the 0-0, they've really found that balance between attack and defence. They look really good. But when we talk about Jose being box office, this is what we're talking about. It's these games. It's the storylines. And if we thought that Spurs against Man City last week was set up perfectly for Jose, then this one, going away to Chelsea, I know there's no crowd there, but he'll play like there is. He's going to go there and play to that empty crowd, and it is going to be fantastic to watch. Whatever the result is, it is fantastic to watch Jose in those environments. Yeah,
he's going to play to the thousands that are not there, isn't he? He's going to absolutely relish this. You know, it's Master v Apprentice, it's Mourinho back at Stamford Bridge, it's the battle between, you know, the guy we're not sure about to the guy we've had to reassess what we think about Mourinho. He's not yesterday's man. He may well be tomorrow's.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that one. Sundays, well, don't worry about it. Right, let's move on. I want to talk about Arsenal's attackers. It's a big weekend for them. We talk about balance with Chelsea and Lampard. Arsenal have absolutely yet to find their balance, and they look completely blunt up front. So this is a big match for them. Home to Wolves. Can they somehow ignite something going forward?
Something's going to have to change, isn't it? They're utterly infuriating at the moment. It's like he's inherited the Guardiola thing of utterly overthinking everything. And he doesn't have to overthink these games. He doesn't have to overthink home to Wolves. Just, as I keep saying, week in, week out, you know, you've got better players. Use them. Play them. Instead, they're playing to this very, very clear path of what to do. And like someone like Willian has said, you know, it's really unusual. Sort of, you're basically being told what to do in every situation. You know, you're taking that element of sort of the instinct out of it and making it about coaching. And that only works to a certain extent, and it certainly doesn't work straight away. And this, you know, needs changes. We talked about Willian. He's been terrible since the opening day against Fulham. Got away with flying to Dubai. Any other player probably wouldn't have got away with that. Arteta's left himself massively open to calls of favouritism there. He needs to change something. And to me, Willian's the obvious one to go. I mean, unfortunately, Nicolas Pepe's red card means that Willian probably will keep his place. But there needs changes there. I mean, they did miss Thomas Partey last week, but we can't put it all down to him. They look stodgy.
He's only just arrived. He's just got there. You can't blame him.
No, we can't be saying it without Partey. They look, you know, no Partey, no whatever.
No.
But
But Wolves are a good defensive unit. This is a tough game for them. Having said that, I'm going to go for Aubameyang to score any time. At some point, it's got to happen, right? It's got to happen. So I think it's going to be this weekend, and I hope it is.
Let's move on. This is the 17th time you've tipped
I know. At some point, it will happen. Let's move on to a less glamorous game than the first two we've mentioned. It's West Brom against Sheffield United. Sarah, I'm losing a bit of sympathy now for Sheffield United.
I've lost all sympathy. Bored now.
I just think it's like, well, you can't expect to be scoring goals if you're leaving your one finisher on the bench and you're playing two workhorses up there. Is that unfair?
It's not unfair. We don't know whether Ryan Brewster can change things at Sheffield United because he's probably not going to get the chance to change things. You know, he's a finisher, but he's not a worker in the same way that Ollie McBurney is or Billy Sharp will be when he comes off the bench.
Or McGoldrick.
You know, they're four or five goal season players, aren't they? They're not prolific in any stretch of the imagination. And as soon as that defence stops being as strong as it was last season, you need to score more goals. I mean, I know it sounds simple, but it is as simple as that. If you have success based in almost entirely on your defensive organisation, and then you lose some of that, you need to make recompense elsewhere on the pitch, and they're just not doing it. And right now, you'd say goodbye to West Brom, Fulham and Sheffield United, wouldn't you? You'd sort of back Burnley to probably just have enough to get out of it because of Sean Dyche's nous.
Absolutely.
But the other three, I'm despairing of them.
But also, I mean, I look at the striking options for those teams you mentioned there compared to Sheffield United. West Brom, I look at Karlan Grant, Diangana, Pereira, good attacking players. Burnley have got, Chris Wood. And Chris Wood's sort of the player that McBurney and McGoldrick want to be. But then they've got Jay Rodriguez, who's capable of pulling magic out of his back pocket.
Got a bit of something about him, hasn't he?
I just don't see that at Sheffield United.
I don't at all, and I don't think many people will mourn them, to be honest. We enjoyed it last year, but it's not been fun to watch this time.
It's not over yet. I still fancy them to get out of it, actually. But I'm going to go for a draw in that game anyway. I do fancy Sheffield United to score a goal and get a point in that one. Let's move on. Everton versus Leeds. Now, last week we talked about Leeds against Arsenal and how that was a sort of a classic for the purist of British football. Similar sort of situation here, I think. Everton-Leeds should be a cracker.
I think if someone had said 3 or 4 years ago we'd see Ancelotti v Bielsa in the Premier League, we would have laughed at you, wouldn't we?
We wouldn't have said it was these two teams.
We wouldn't have said it these two teams. We wouldn't have thought either of them would ever be here again. You know, Ancelotti would ever come back again, or that Bielsa would ever come here full stop. It seems like a dream, doesn't it? And that they're not managing any of the traditional top six. The big six is extraordinary, isn't it? It just shows you the ridiculous sort of depth of talent in amongst managers at the moment, and also that 3 of the actual big six are managed by relative rookies.
And shows how attractive the Premier League is globally.
Oh, absolutely, and the sort of money that's here is amazing. This is great. I've said a lot about Everton. I've said a lot about Richarlison on this show. They're great to watch. This could be an absolute classic, couldn't it? Even Leeds miss a lot of chances, but they make a lot of chances. They allow a lot of chances. And Everton are quite similar. They are scoring goals, but they are letting them in. You go to Fulham and they should have cruised that. They should have absolutely cruised that.
Could have
been 4 or 5
nil up, couldn't they?
By not being smart enough at the back, by having Yerry Mina, who's a little bit of an accident waiting to happen, and by having Jordan Pickford, who definitely is an accident waiting to happen. So anything could happen in this one.
It's happened over and over again.
You're going to tip both teams to score, aren't you? I'm
actually not going to go my accumulator on this one. I'm saving that for the last topic today, which we'll talk about now, I think. We seem to talk about it every week, Sarah. It's Liverpool's defence. However, this time it's Liverpool's title defence, because as of last weekend, they just seem like a relentless juggernaut. Doesn't matter what players they pick, they all slot into this Klopp system. They all know their job. They all get it done. I think that result against Leicester, with half the team out, is as impressive as anything we've seen over the last couple of years with them.
To me, it's done. I mean, I can't even.
I
can't even pretend anyone else is going to. It's bizarre. The bookies have got Man City as second favourites, and you wonder how. That's just some sort of ridiculous belief that Pep.
Man City have won 3 games out of 8. 3 out of 8.
You look at the table and you think, how could they possibly be second favourites? It's purely a belief that Pep knows what he's doing. Yeah. Liverpool, to me, that result against Leicester absolutely blew them away. There's been all this, as Brendan Rodgers says, narrative about Liverpool injuries. But this Liverpool team was never about 11 players. It was never about 12 or 13 players. This is a club. There's a reason they're going about this meaning more. This is a club who are absolutely committed to dominating football, which means that the reserves playing exactly the same way, the under-23s playing, the youth teams playing the same way.
Yeah.
Almost unnoticed, Curtis Jones has come in and is playing in that midfield, and he doesn't get any real attention because of what's happening at the back of him and what's happening in front. But he's come in there seamlessly, and there are a couple of other players who can come in there seamlessly as well. And to see James Milner come in at right back, we talked about the big drop between Trent Alexander-Arnold and Nico Williams. Well, Jurgen Klopp decided against that, didn't he, and just went for James Milner because you can never go wrong with James Milner.
Yeah,
to me,
he's the perfect player. He's the perfect player.
I can't even think of how this could go wrong, because everything that probably Liverpool fans thought might go wrong and feared might go wrong has kind of already happened. We've had Alisson out. We've now got Van Dijk out for a long time. Gomez out for a long time. They've even now got a striker or a winger who can fill in for any of those three players at the front. There's no crack in the building anymore, is there?
No, it's like last season. They had that midfield which was brilliant at their job, but not really individually spectacular. But they could all just fill in and do what they needed to do. Well, this time they've got that. Plus, they've got maybe the best midfielder in the world currently, Thiago, yet to come back in. So this side are unbelievable. I'm going to go with my bet here. I think Liverpool will win this, but my bet is both teams to score, because I do think Brighton at home are a bit of a different proposition. I do like watching Brighton. We haven't mentioned them at all really there. But they're a good side to watch. I think both teams to score, but Liverpool. Of course they're going to win. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, Sarah, thank you for joining me. Thank you guys at home for watching. This has been Big Weekend, brought to you by Paddy Power. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can email us. It is theeditor@football365.com. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.